But thank you for showing up, and we are so appreciative that you continue to practice and that you have been so supportive of us as a studio. And our hope is that really more and more, but safely, we'll be able to be together in person. So, all right. So comfortable seat. I'm going to prop up some blocks for myself. And as always, we'll start with breath work. We are going to use a strap or a band today if you have that available to you. I think that would be nice. Blocks are always helpful to have at the ready. So, I feel like I need to do that. Let's take some cleansing breaths together. So inhale, let your shoulders rise up toward your ears, and exhale as audibly as you want to. Just let the breath and the shoulders go. A couple more times like that. Inhale, breathe it up. Exhale, let it go. One more time like that. Inhale. Exhale. Beautiful. So for breath today, we're going to practice sort of 3-part breathing, meaning we'll inhale about 1/3 of our capacity, our lung capacity, and pause just for a tiny bit. Then inhale about another 1/3 and pause just for a split second of time. And then inhale all the way to the top, fullest lung capacity. And then exhale naturally out. So see if you can try that breath. You might want to close your eyes, make sure your hands are relaxed, your face is relaxed. So inhaling in, little pause, sipping in more air, little pause, really increasing that breath capacity. And then just a natural exhale. And if that breath work appeals to you, continue with that sort of rhythm. And perhaps if you need to quiet your mind and you need a little more than just the pranayama, you can think of this mantra, which is as you inhale a little I, as you inhale more am, as you inhale the most here, and then as you exhale now. So your mantra, I am here now, sort of echoes in the chambers of your mind. And as you breathe and repeat this, see if you can really drop down. You know, I think of it in my mind, I'm so busy, it's like strings of yarn all tangled together, all different colors all over the place. And I almost can imagine myself grabbing hold and reining it all in. And it doesn't feel like just my mind, my spirit as well, just kind of drawing everything into my physical body, but also into this very specific moment in time. Now, if you'd prefer to reverse the breath, feel free, meaning that you inhale all the way in I, and then a 1/3 exhale am, another 1/3 of the exhale here, the last 1/3 of the exhale now. Just play with that. It's really, its most important purpose, that pranayama, is just to, again, bring you all in to the center, to the moment. So maybe practice that once or twice more, if you're willing, and just see what you can soften. Today is a little bit about softening and opening in the body, and then we'll talk about how that can relate to our relationships. Try one more round if you're up for it. And then just return after this round to a more natural breath pattern, or your Ujjayi breathing, or your Pilates breath, just a breath that you can flow with, that you can link to movement. Now here we want to, again, make sure we feel the sitting bones grounding down and that we're really tall away from them without arching the back, that we're just nice and long in the sides of the body. And with hands on thighs, you can have your legs straight or bent or whatever. We're going to imagine the rib cage is being sort of tethered to the ceiling. And we're going to try to use the rib cage to draw circles. So I'm not super worried about your pace. They certainly don't need to be fast, and they should be linked with breath. So maybe inhaling to start your circle and then exhaling to bring the circle to its completion. And just try, 5 to 8 in one direction, and try to be really relaxed across this shoulder line and through the neck and head. And then pause and take your circle somewhere else in the other direction. And it's really easy to, again, sort of push our way through this movement up in the shoulders, but it's not about that at all. It's really the ribs, almost like you're hula hooping. It's also not really about the hips and the pelvis. So see if you can focus this movement right in the middle of the spine. Just try a few more. And then release to center. Gorgeous. If you have the space, we're going to stretch the legs out in front of us and just give them a little shake. Your legs can be long or slightly bent. You want to do whatever it takes to help you stay long in the spine. We'll inhale, breathe the arms up overhead. Exhale, twist to the left. Just let the hands fall. Inhale as you're ready, back up in center. Exhale, take it the other way. And again, feel the ribs turning. Inhale to lift. Exhale to twist. Maybe one more time here. Inhale to lift. Exhale to twist. And now we'll take that left foot, slide it in, give the shin a hug, and feel the length of your spine as you really reach long through that right leg. Good. And if you'd like to twist even more deliberately for that left side, you can use your hands to hold on. Maybe just get a little bit more out of the twist while the sitting bones stay equally grounded. Turn your neck even maybe a little further than your spine, your eyeballs maybe even a little further than your neck, if that feels good. And then come back through center. I'm even getting a big stretch in the back of my shoulder. Release and slide that right leg in. So first we stand on it, we hug the shin bone and we sit tall, activating that left leg as well. And then taking the twist over to the right. Oh. Deep breath in and out. Again, maybe your neck can turn further than your shoulders and ribs, and maybe your eyeballs even further than that. And come slowly back to center. Soles of the feet together, sitting up tall, almost tipping the pelvis forward. You can stay here statically and reach the chest and heart through, or you can sit up a little taller and just flutter those wings. One more big breath here. And then gently release those legs. All right, we're gonna move the blocks aside. Come down onto the belly. Take your time. Lowering all the way to the mat. Creating a little shelf for your chin or your forehead. And then taking that left leg and sliding it up and over to the left for frog. Half frog, really. So I want to start class slowly with this because I'd like to give the hips a chance to open one side at a time with just gravity doing the work. So you're going to play with the position of this leg until you find softness in the front of the left hip. It can be further out away from you or closer. The knee can come up toward the face more or a little further down. See where you can find sensation in the inner thighs and the hip flexors, but not so much sensation that you tense away from it. You want to relax into it. One more breath here. And then very deliberately and carefully stretch that leg behind you. Bring the hands to the sides of the body, little tented fingers. And as you roll the shoulders down, lift the heart up, stretch that same leg long behind. Just pause for a moment here, feel really long. No compression in that low back, just length and lift. A lot of activity in the gluteal muscles and the quadriceps. One more breath. And then lower gently to the mat. Reestablish that little shelf as you slide your right knee up and out to the side. So try to relax the arch of the right foot. Again, find the position where you feel a stretch and a softening in the front of the right hip without too much gripping. And let every breath just soften you and open to the possibility of more openness. One more deliberate breath here. And then gently stretch that leg back behind you. Once more, bringing the hands to tented fingers. As you float up at the shoulder line, reach that right leg behind you. And again, stretch long. And notice, as usual, is the ego involved here? Are you reaching for more than what serves you? Or can you just accept where the body is right now, what little step of the journey you're on today, and then lower gently down. We're going to push into the palms, lift up enough to bring the elbows under the shoulders for Sphinx. And here, we're not going to work too hard. We're going to find that little balance of effort and ease. But as we inhale, we'll tilt the chin up just a bit. And as we exhale, we'll bring the chin down toward the chest. So try that once or twice with really just moving the head, nodding the head on top of the spine. And then you might decide to make it a little bigger. You might inhale, gaze up, and really stretch the heart forward, drawing the elbows back. And then as you exhale, you might bring not just your chin to your chest, but hug your belly up to your spine and broaden your shoulders across your back. Inhaling up, exhaling down. It's a little gaze up for our higher purpose and a bow down to the humility that it takes to find it. Last time through this, your range of motion. And then bringing the hands under the shoulders, hugging the belly up and drawing the tail back between the legs for child's pose. Puppy's a great alternative to this as well. Settle in here for about 3 breaths and feel free as always to make it your own, to move with it or to stay static, to find the version of child's pose that is tugging at your heart today, something you need. Gorgeous. One more breath here. And then start to unwind and bring those hands right under the shoulders. Walk your knees back to plank prep. You could tuck your toes if you wanted to. And we're going to try to go into pro and retraction through the shoulders. So first, we'll press the hands into the ground and roll the shoulders forward, really broadening the shoulder blades apart. Inhale here, and then as you exhale, don't bend the elbows, but let the shoulders come toward your spine. Your chest will probably dip down a little bit. Now, this range of motion is not huge for everyone, so really try to feel through the shoulder blades. We're going to inhale to broaden them apart, exhale to bring them together. Again, try not to bend the elbows a lot. It might be small. Just one more time. Inhale, broadening apart, exhale. Now from here, we'll find neutral position through the shoulders. And we'll step the legs back to full plank, one leg at a time. Now here, I want you to really find the work in the center. So if you can, draw your tail down between your legs, hug your navel up and in toward your spine. Make this more about the abdominals than anything else. Holding for 3 more breaths. 2 more breaths. 1 more breath. And then dropping the knees, pressing your weight back just for a moment to release the workout. When you're ready, come back to your table here. Gorgeous. We're going to twist the spine a little bit more. So we'll release the left arm and soften the elbow like we're sort of cradling a stack of books. Now stay right here in the arm, and as you inhale, open your ribs over to the left. And as you exhale, hug your belly to the spine and turn your ribs to the right. And move with breath. Inhale to open a little, won't be huge. Exhale to close. So if I were kneeling, it would look like this, right? The ribs turning. Try one more time. Inhaling to open, exhaling to sweep through, and then come back to center and land. Tuck your tail under, reach your tail behind you. Find a neutral tail where your tailbone's reaching away from the crown of your head. We'll take the right arm, soften that elbow. Inhale, we're gonna turn open to the right, ribs turning. Exhale, turn to the left, let the arm come through to allow space for rotation. Inhale here, exhale, your head follows the work, sort of the final piece of the equation. And back through center. Beautiful. From here, we're going to tuck the toes. One big cat. Press the hands into the ground. Spread the shoulders apart. Draw your tail down and lift your belly. And then inhale as you start to unwind, finding the extension. Good. Keep that extension. Hug your belly tight and hover your knees as you press your way up and back to downward facing dog. Now from here, you might feel the need to pedal the feet out. Really get the weight away from those hands. I mean, the hands have to press into the ground, but you're resisting back away from them. Lift that tail high. Frame your head with your biceps. Now from here, we'll stretch that left leg straight behind us, toes pointing down. Good. Now point the toes behind you. Plantar flexion through the ankle. Turn your hip open and bring your heel towards your glutes. Keep pressing down on the right. You can flex the ankle again if you wish. So left side body presses down. You're really keeping your shoulders and ribs square as you open that hip. Think of softness and openness in the hip socket. Classic place where we hang on to stuck emotions. One more breath here. Now square it up, the knee faces down, and then you bring that leg back. Beautiful job. Unwind to plank. Find that long spine again. Then bend the knees, lift the tail up and back to downward facing dog. Once more, get that weight back away from the hands. Stretch the right leg straight behind you, push the heel down. Now point the toes and open the hip, and then pull the foot in toward your bottom. You can flex through that again. And then press that right hand toward the mat. Keep square in shoulders and ribs as you open the hips. One more breath here. Gorgeous. Turn the knee back down. Bring the foot back down. Knees down. Gorgeous. Sit it back. Ah. You might want to come up onto the knees and bring your hands back behind your low back, clasping them and lifting your heart. You don't have to be seating all the way back in heroes. You could be up here on the knees. Gorgeous. Stay for one breath here. Now we're going to tuck those toes behind us, and I'll show you what that looks like from the front. Release the arms. We're going to sweep that left arm up in space and side bend over to the right. Ah, I know I love a side bend. Reach to the fingertips as you ground down through the left knee. Now, if it seems achievable, just stretch your right fingers back toward your leg. Lift your heart and find a little bit of extension as well. So we've got this side bend. Now we're going to press the hips and thigh bones forward into sort of a half camel with a little bit of rotation. One more breath here. Let the neck relax. With the toes tucked, the heel comes a little higher to you. Now on your exhale, squeeze those inner thighs together and come back up. Nice job. Other side. So inhale. We breathe that right arm up. We set that arm in its socket, and then we side bend. Enjoy just the stretch first. Oh, nice and long. Fingers away from me. Now see if it seems possible to you. And if it's not possible to reach your foot, maybe just wrap the hand behind the low back. Lift out and away from the floor as you add some extension here. And you want to make the head and neck happy. You could look up at that hand in the sky or look straight ahead. Just enjoy. We're adding a little more stretch across the spiral line of the body. See if you can enjoy the length. One more breath in. And then as you exhale, squeeze your inner thighs together and come on up. Relax the toes in the back. And then just gently swing side to side to twist out that work. You can sort of catch yourself with the hands if you want. Couple more breaths here. Okay. We're going to go into Malasana from here. So if you like blocks from Malasana, or if it's really hard for you to get low and you want to stand up and use a chair or anything, you know, at the studio, we would hang on to a bar. So from here, I'm going to use my blocks in front of me for a second and then step one leg out to the side and then step the other leg out to the side and then decide how much block do I need today. This might be great. You might need none. Thinking of a certain one of you that just looks like she was born in this shape. I'll play with it. You might like to stack a few to get a broad block across there. This is early in class, so also don't ask your body for more than it's ready. What's the purpose for the block? A lot of us can get into this shape and then we round way forward because we can't support it. So what I'd like you to try here is to really feel supported and relaxed. Now we're going to lift the spine. That's what it's all about, getting long spine with open hips, which can be quite a challenge in this day and age. Make sure you feel stable. Pillows work as well. We're going to slide this right arm down inside the thigh. And we're going to take this left arm up and over to side bend here. You can turn your palm forward if you prefer. And we think about the ways that the torso meets the hip and how if we can add the elongated torso to this stretch, how nice that might feel. Check in with yourself. Are you rolling in toward your arches or are you keeping the femur bones rolling open? You might get a stretch down into the lumbar spine on this side, which is just lovely for me. One more breath. And then lift it up and relax. Make sure that spine feels long. You feel safe on your blocks. And then slide that opposite arm down inside the thigh as you open up, side bending. Now, could you do this standing? Absolutely. Just what's going to happen is the legs are going to work a lot more. This for me is, I'm creating some effort in my stretch, but it's not a lot of work for the legs when I'm propped up here. One more breath like this. Good, now from here, we're gonna dare to stand. So we're gonna bring the hands into prayer mudra. We're gonna really roll everything open to the outsides of the feet. Before you even try to lift off, squeeze your gluteal muscles and your sitting bones together. Push and slowly, slowly, slowly rise. Oh, how lovely. Now we're gonna spin the heels, at least to parallel, if not further out. Hands to hips. We're going to lift that chest really proudly. And then we'll stretch the tail away from the crown. Flat, flat, flat back stretch. Now you could stay right here with your hands on your hips. You could breathe your hands to the mat. Or some of you might want to walk out further and find your way to a block. We'll stay here for a few breaths and see if once more that you can shift the weight more to the outsides of the feet. Now from here, maybe bend your knees a little and then lift your tail a little higher, which will extend the knee joints. And see if you can't surrender yourself to the concept of softening and opening. It can be a lot of work, a lot of internal work, to let go of the control, to let go of being in charge, to even surrender to gravity. It can be an inside job. So use your breath to just soften into it. There's so much beautiful benefit that we miss out on just because we don't allow it. We don't let it in. One more breath here. Beautiful. Now, start to lift your head a little bit. Turn your heels in and come up to a nice wide goddess pose and then push your way up. All right, we're ready for some standing work. I'm going to transition to my standing mat. My daughter asked me today, why do you have so many mats, Mom? I said, one's for down, one's for up. Your blocks can be nearby. We're going to come into mountain pose, though, to start. You can be at the top of your mat if you wish. I just want to face you. Let's bring the big toes together and the heels apart just a little bit. Let's roll the shoulders back and down. And see if we can achieve balance here. So front to back body balance. As always, mountain is the best teacher, I think, of balance between the effort and the ease. So where do I need effort? Where do I need grounding and strength? And where can I soften? Stay here for 3 rounds of breath. And I want to sort of use that as an illustration of balance in relationships as well. How do I let other people in without letting their opinions and thoughts rule me? How can I be open to what another person feels without being swayed too much by what they think? One more big breath here in mountain. And just notice if you feel balanced today in your energy, if you literally feel it's easy to balance today, or do you feel sort of wobbly? And notice the quality and ease of your breath and your thoughts. One more inhale. And then exhale to just soften out of the pose. If you're not at the top of your mat, please come to it. Beautiful. Blocks at the ready if you have them. Inhale, breathe up, gaze up. Exhale, pull your hands to heart center. Bow with a flat back. Round when you cannot be flat anymore. Forward fold. Reach your tail away from your crown. Inhale, halfway lift. Come up and really feel the spine stretching as long as it can possibly be. Exhale, fold and plant your hands. Step back to high plank. We're going to move through our flow so you can drop your knees or shift forward. But either way, control that lowering to the mat. Inhale, lift your heart. Exhale, you can pass through plank or you can come right up to downward facing dog. Inhale, lift the heels, gaze forward at the hands. Hop, step, or jump to the top of the mat. Forward fold. Inhale, lift halfway, stretch long. Exhale, bow humbly. Inhale, press into the ground and rise from your strong back body, side of body that allows for trust. Inhale, gaze up. Exhale, bow over those legs again, round forward, forward fold. Inhale, lift and lengthen, halfway lift. Exhale, fold, plant your hands this time. Step your right leg back to crescent lunge. So from here, if you have blocks, you're going to want to gather them. So we're going to come here forward and back from crescent lunge to hamstring stretch. So reach your chest forward first. Bend into that front knee. Feel the lunge. Feel the squareness. So inner thighs alive. On the inhale, lift your hips and straighten that front leg. You can round the spine if you like, but you don't need to. And we're going to flow back and forth here. So we'll exhale to bend into the knees, find long spine in lunge. Stay square through this whole series. Inhale, start to straighten the front leg, lift the hips, perhaps bow down. A few more times to your breath pace. Exhale, commit to the lunge again, roll the shoulders back and the heart forward. Think openness of hips and length of back of legs. Inhale, lift up, straighten the leg without locking the knee. Reach your back heel toward the mat. Round if you like. Last time, come to that lunge. Nice and long here. Beautiful. From here, we're going to release the grip on the blocks, lift the heart up, bring the hands through heart center. Lift the belly away from the spine and twist over to the left toward that front knee. Right hand comes on top of left. Press the hands together to find a little more work here, a little more rotation. But keep your hips square, but wrap your ribs around. One more breath. Now release back to heart center, hands are here. Bend that back knee. Place most of the weight in that front foot. Step forward to a little chair. Stay here for a breath and just notice the difference in the length of the legs. And then press the ground away. Lift your glutes and hamstrings and quadriceps and rise. Ready for the other side. Inhale, breathe up, please. Exhale, pull hands through heart center, bow over those legs. Inhale, halfway lift, stretch crown from tail. Exhale, plant your hands, step your left leg back into lunge. Use those blocks to lift. Just take a minute to set up well. Make sure your knee is over that ankle. Make sure you're not on a balance beam, but your legs are instead on like train tracks. Good. And find that length of spine. Exhale here. On the inhale, start to straighten that front leg. Reach your back heel for the ground. Maybe you bow over it. On the exhale, you bend back into the knee and lift the heart. So the spine will change a little, but you can keep it flat if you need to. And we'll move back and forth. We'll inhale to lift the hips, elongating the front leg and sort of bowing over it. Exhaling to unravel from the base of the spine through the crown of the head as we come back to that lunge. Let's try two more at your breath pace. Inhaling. Exhaling. Use your breath to invite length and softness. One more time. Inhaling. Exhaling. Come back into that crescent lunge. This is a balances twist because the back heel is lifted. So we lift the spine, hands come in front of the chest. We lift the belly and the rib cage and twist them open to the right, catching the outside of that knee with the left elbow. And then we press the palms together. Right elbow is up toward the ceiling. Strengthen both legs as you turn the ribs to the right. Stay and breathe. One more big inhale. One more releasing exhale. And then float up off that leg. Hands come to the heart. Bend your back knee. Lots of weight in that front foot. Step forward, little chair. Woo, see if you feel a little more balanced. One more breath. And then press the floor away. Rise strong from that back body. Release to your mountain. Gaze forward. Think of heart lift. Openness across the chest. One more breath before we add on. Gorgeous. From the top of your mat, we'll inhale, gaze up, breathe up. Exhale, soften the knees to allow for the flat back fold. Over the legs, release the head, spill forward. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, forward, plant your hands, step your right foot back, and then spin that right heel down as you come up into warrior two. Here you are. So nice long spine. Lots of energy in the inner thighs. And really lift from your back body so you're not jacking up from the top of the shoulders here. Now from here, we're gonna come in and out of star. So we're gonna straighten the front leg and turn the left toes in, and then we'll turn the right toes out and come to warrior two on the other side. So this is how we'll flow. Make sure your torso doesn't get ahead of you, right? So let's bring the hands up as we inhale and bring the toes to parallel. And then as we exhale and turn back into warrior two other side, the hands come down. And if you find you're too wide, you can fix that. Inhale, lift up, pivot on the heel, maybe gaze up. Exhale, bend into the other side. And right that spine. Let that femur bone roll open. Inhale, star lift. Exhale, turn to warrior. Really strong. Just a few more to your breath pace. Inhaling up, exhaling, and move as though you're resisting the air, moving through quicksand or water. Inhale up, exhale. One last time to each side. Inhale, gaze up, exhale. Last lift. Last time into warrior two. And this time we'll walk the hands around to frame that front foot. Step that front foot back, high plank. Nice. Inhale, shift forward or lower the knees, chaturanga. Inhale, heart lift. Exhale, up and back. Child's pose. Enjoy this for a few breaths and just let the work settle into your skin. Let it just land. Beautiful. All right. One more flow to each side before we come down for some mat work. Inhale, breathe up on those knees. Step that right foot forward. Tuck the back toes. Come to a little chair. You got this. Settle your shoulders. Lift your belly. Lengthen your tail and shoot energy out your fingertips. Now press your arms behind you and circle them as you rise. Inhale, gaze up. Exhale, bow forward. Spill. Release anything that's not serving you. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Plant your hands. Step your right foot back. High lunge. Now from here, I'm going to turn so you can see me. We're going to bring the hands inside that left foot. Turn the toes out and walk them to the side. Now you've got a lot of choices for your lizard here. You can keep that back knee up. You could come down to elbows or blocks, or you can bring the back knee down and use the hand to add a little rotation to the spine and a little more stretch for the hips. So make the choice that's best for you. Sometimes it's the choice that feels the most natural and the most easy in our own skin. Sometimes it's the choice that pushes us and challenges us. And only the language of your body and soul can speak to you. And only you can have the courage to listen to it and decide what you need today. One more breath. Now, if your hands are not on the mat, place them both on the mat, move blocks aside if you need to. Walk that left foot back in. And just stay for a moment here, pushing the knee into the arm and pushing the arm out into the knee. Lift your gaze and let the back hip open a little more. One more breath here. Good. Now, if your back knee is down, tuck those toes and lift the back knee. Step the front foot back, high plank. We're getting there. Let's pass through chaturanga if we can. So knees down or you shift. Control the way down. Inhale, lift that heart. Exhale up and back to downward facing dog. Step your way forward to the top of your mat. Little chair, sit it back. One more time to the other side. So sweep the arms behind you as you rise. Inhale, gaze up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Plant your hands. Step your opposite foot back. Good, so from here, you're gonna bring both hands inside that front knee, turn the toes out and walk it out to the side. Again, you can stay up here in your lunge. You can come down to elbows to the mat or block, so you can bring that back knee down and turn and open a little more. Now the hips, right? Notoriously, they hang on. They hang on physically and they hang on emotionally. Especially our psoas muscles, which are very strong, but also need to be a little flexible, connecting the torso to the upper to the lower half of the body. One more big breath here. And then if you need to move blocks out of the way, we're gonna come back into the lunge. Whether your knee is up or down is up to you, but bring both hands inside and push the arm out into the leg into the arm, and stretch your spine. Let that back hip open up a little bit more. One more breath here. Now, if your back knee's down, we're gonna tuck that back foot, lift the knee, step front foot to back foot, high plank. Final high plank, hold it here. Breathe into it. Make it come alive for you. And high plank is so warming and invigorating and really strong, but see if you can find little places to allow for softness, even in high plank. Last breath in. And then drop your knees and find your way back to child's pose. Okay. I'm going to do a little work down on the mat. So if you have a strap or a green band or even a long towel rolled up, that might be helpful to you now. We're going to come onto our seat and we're going to hook the strap across the shins. The feet aren't going to be very far apart because we're going to set up for bridge. So here we are, laying down. You're going to bring your heels in somewhat close to you and definitely aligned with your sitting bones. Walk your fingers down that band or the strap. You want to feel a fair amount of tension, like your fingers are trying to reach and touch your heels. Inhale here. Fully commit to the four corners of your foot on each side as you pull your way up into bridge. Now here, I sort of love bridge with a strap. I just feel like I get so much feedback. And one of the things I dislike about bridge the most is that my feet sometimes slip. And when your feet get too far away from you, it's just not a good feeling. Now from here, can you lift up a little and draw your shoulders in underneath you? Now from there, make sure you are squeezing your glutes and really pressing up and protecting your low back. Enjoy some positive tension between the inner thighs. And imagine your femur bones rolling toward each other, but don't let that affect how the weight falls through the feet. One more big breath. And then you might want to walk your shoulders wide again before you roll down. Really take your time. It's amazing. If you really try to roll through each vertebra, you'll be amazed at how many muscles you work along the way. How your abdominals are involved, your quadriceps are involved, your gluteal muscles get involved, each at a different sort of stage. Okay, now give yourself a little more length. And we're going to try to roll to the belly, keeping the strap where it is. I'm going to roll right off my mat. For bow. So here we are. So instead of having to reach your hands back to your ankles, you're just going to hold the strap. Hopefully it didn't fall down too much. One way you can avoid that is by already starting to push out a little bit. Flex your feet. Inhale to prepare. And on the exhale, you're going to lift up, lifting your thighs, rolling your shoulders back and down, and lifting your heart into a nice bit of extension. You might need to walk down the strap a little. The band will probably be really enjoyable for this one. Good. Try to keep those thigh bones parallel. Open up your collarbones. Stay for one more big breath, lifting those thighs, staying alive, and then gently releasing. You can release the strap as well. Bring the hands under the forehead. Put those knees apart, bend them, and then slowly windshield wiper the legs. Lovely. Come back to that breath. All right, from here, we're going to release the legs. We're going to stretch one arm overhead and roll onto one side. If the strap is underneath you and it doesn't feel good, just move it out of the way. Now from here, we're going to slide our way up and bring our legs to, in Pilates, we call these mermaid legs, but in yoga, it's often set up for deer or stag. Okay, so from here, we're going to find the length of our spine away from the sitting bones. Now, this can be hard if your hips are tight. So just take a moment to exhale into the mat. Now, we can lift away from that grounding, and we're going to turn to the outside of that front knee. And we're going to use our hands to keep wrapping around to feel a nice rotation in the spine, and then walking over. And if you can, you're going to come down to your elbows or even to blocks. Now from here, what we want to feel is this twist away from the grounded hip. So your hip's going to want to lift, and you're going to want to try to resist. You can round your chest, round your shoulders if you want. You could prop your head on a block if you want and just take the weight out of the neck like this. But we want to keep feeling this wrapping and broadening, what we're working towards here. Stay for one more big breath. Where can you breathe softness? Where have you resisted gravity's heavy weighted blanket? One more breath. And then come to your palms. If you're not, push yourself up in that rotation and turn back to center. The center, we're just going to do a little bit of belly work before the other side. I believe how fast time is flying. A block between the knees, if you like, will be nice. Just like bridge, make sure your heels aren't too far away from you. Inhale tall, and then exhale. Don't lean, but draw your tail under you. Pull your tail between your legs, which makes you roll to the back of your pelvis and off of that tail. Now lift the heart. Good. If you can float up to the tips of your toes or even off the mat, that's great. We're going to reach that left arm overhead and the right arm toward the toes, and then switch. Squeeze it on that block. If your hips are screaming at you, put the feet down. Good, but you have that nice J shape in the spine. And then work through the shoulders. Challenge the belly strength. Draw your pelvic floor up. Breathe. Use the breath. One more time to each side. Last one here. And then bring your arms in front of you like you're holding a big beach ball. Exhale, squeeze the shoulders together as your arms come apart. Inhale, broaden your shoulders, let your fingers tap together. Exhale. Remember, a lot of energy here in the hips. Inhale forward. 3 more times. Exhale. Inhale. Last 2. Inhale. Last 1. And finish. Bring it forward. Bring your blocks to the other side and swivel your knees over before I forget to do the other side. I need for you to be balanced. Now, make sure your hips are... So you want to sink the hips without sinking the spine. So drop the hips down, grow tall. We're going to take that tall spine and start to rotate it over that front knee using our hands, but pushing the hip down toward the mat. And then from here, maybe you stay all the way up. Maybe you come down to elbows or blocks. Maybe you support the head with something. Do what works for you. Really putting effort into that twist. And for me, I feel it all the way down into the hip. Stay and breathe. 3 nice full breaths. So enjoy this rotation. You might even be able to stretch into the back of the shoulders. And you know, if you really feel like you shouldn't be folding forward, you can stack blocks up as much as you want, right? Maybe you've got like 40 encyclopedias under your head. What do I know? One more big breath. And then slowly push into the hands to come up and release. Keep your blocks nearby you. Swivel your legs around. And we're going to lower all the way down to the mat. So stretch your arms forward, tuck your tail, and take your time. Enjoy the articulation of the spine on your way down. So I'm going to come into Supta Baddha Konasana. I'm going to give my hips one more chance to soften. I'm going to bring the soles of my feet together and let the knees come out, but I'm going to prop them with blocks so that I'm not just yanking at my hip flexors, that I'm just allowing softness with support. We're going to stay here for a few rounds of breath before we come into final rest. If there's some other pose that you prefer to do right now, happy baby, more spinal rotation, anything your heart desires, please feel free. I'm also going to breathe my arms up overhead and encourage the shoulders to open. And this front body is where I have to soften to be willing to receive, right? And there's so much to receive right now. There's a lot of information out there to receive, a lot of opinions out there that you can choose to receive or not receive, a lot of big emotions out in the world right now. But I also sort of feel like it's openness and softness that allow me to listen, that allow me to grow by realizing that what I believe is not always what is true, that I can always learn more. I can certainly always grow. And then on a more personal level, letting my front body soften and be opening to receive also has to do with allowing love into my heart, allowing myself to be truly touched and moved and changed by the people around me. I can't do that if I'm closed off or hardened up or wound too tightly. And I can only practice it really well if I do it right in the present, in each moment that arrives before me, like a beautifully unwrapped present. Find the places in your body where you still feel you're closing yourself off from softness. And see if your breath can reach even those hard to open places. The face, the jaw, the eyes are notorious for this. And as you soften, listen to what your body's asking for your final resting shape. You may be perfectly happy right here, or you might rather stretch into a more traditional core pose. You might like to put a block under your hips in supported bridge or leg up the wall. You might even want to arch over the block into supported fish. Give your body what it needs, and I'll quiet for 5 rounds of restful breath.